Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining this CPG UK coffee chat on Nullifier's SC902 Intumescent coating, presented to you by Jeff Dyson. Please feel free to ask any questions throughout the webinar today by popping them into the little questions box on the dashboard on the right-hand side of your screen, and these will be answered in the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, I will hand you over to Jeff.
Thank you, Ryan. Good afternoon, attendees. Thanks for joining us for this brief coffee chat on SC902. For those who are au fait with the product, we're not going to sort of be giving you any groundbreaking information, but if you want to stay with us, feel free. For those who don't know the product or the type of system we're talking about, then as Ryan said, any questions we'll field those at the end, but hopefully this will give you an insight into sort of the system, how it works and where it fits into construction. Thought I'd just start off with something a bit relevant to today. So how did your morning look? So we're all faced with frosty screens, but how we all dealt with them as maybe very different approaches. So those lucky enough to be working from home can leave it out on the drive and have to do nothing. But fortunately for the rest of us, we need to choose our method of attack. So, option B there is, we haven't really thought about it, planned much, maybe running out of time to just sit in the car and let it defrost naturally. So we have to stand in the cold and get on with the nitty gritty. If we've got the luxury of some time and we've planned our day a bit more around sort of the potential for frost and ice, then we can sit in the car, listen to the radio and let it defrost naturally in sort of picture C. The alternative is, which years ago was seen as something a bit weird and wonderful, but sticking sheets or now proprietary systems over the screen. So then we can go out, pull that screen off and work quite quickly back on with the day with no major issues. So 3 different approaches, all of which will get us to work, but slightly warmer or not in each case. So how's that relevant to fire protection? Well, again, it's how we choose to approach it. So is it a last minute type scenario where it hasn't been factored into the design? Is it a project that actually doesn't give us the time that we need? So these are things which we feel our SC900 system gives us different options and opportunities for. So essentially, in terms of the 900, which is a hybrid system, it's given us an alternative which conventional type products, water-based or solvent-based, don't usually give us during the winter months. They're still used, but under much more restrictive time periods of use based on conditions. So the hybrid system 902 is what we class as a fast track intumescent. And what does that actually mean? What is fast track? Well, here we're talking about on-site application still, but it's about how do we help speed up that element of a project, which in turn may help speed up the project itself, or at least have fewer delays related to the application of an intumescent product. The picture on the right clearly sort of demonstrates the fact that the system we're looking at, the 902 at the bottom, can be applied in a lot fewer coats for higher fire ratings. This is a 2-hour sort of driven product based on its performance, can equally be used for 90 minutes and 60-minute projects, but where the build-up is a lot higher, then this system allows you to do that all in one application. So faster completion, why might we need that? Well, projects that have already had delays due to, maybe things to do with ground clearance, contaminated ground, delays on the steel fabrication or delivery to site, all of which is then giving us an option to hopefully catch up on some of that time that's been lost already. Quicker handover. So once you're on a project, one of the hindrances of conventional systems is that it's a multiple approach application. So one area of a building may need to be visited numerous times, to build up the required thickness of fire protection. With SC902, the whole application can be put on in one visit, be that a day or a morning and an afternoon session, and essentially that area of the building then sort of handed back to the main contractor as a fire protected and completed area. So then other trades can move in and work more freely without hindrance. We work also on refurbishments and historical projects. So when we're involved in those, getting the buildings back up and running is key to the client. So this can help with that by tackling specific areas and handing them back one area at a time. So all of this helps avoid any sort of overruns and potential penalties on sort of projects, which sometimes happen. Increased profitability, well, there's that potential, but that's all about cost management and assessing sort of how valuable time is against the duration of a project. And what we like to do is differentiate this product. It's a premium product in that conventional water-based and solvent-based products have been around for a long time now. They've been highly developed by lots of different manufacturers. This system offers unique benefits in terms of its speed of application, its durability and weatherability, all of which I'm going to come on to talk about. So it's unmatched film build properties. So this product, any fire rating up to 2 hours and on the smallest steel work can be applied in one application. It will be a multiple coat build up, but in one visit to that piece of steel. Other systems, as I said, may need to be applied coat at a time, which might be consecutive days. It might even be over a period of weeks, depending on the requirements. The system also surface dries very quickly, which makes it very weather resistant in a short period of time, even as quick as half an hour to 45 minutes. And we've got a video to demonstrate that in one of the next slides. The final cure through of the system is also quicker than most conventional systems. It's a moisture cure system, which then, if you're looking at steelwork that's been transported, so they were talking off-site, it can be transported much more quickly. If we're looking at steelwork that's been protected on site, it's going to have a more robust finish in terms of follow-on trades potentially damaging it, which this then won't allow. And so impact resistance, less site repair. That said, the system is still applied using conventional equipment. So we were very clear that our customers needed to be familiar with at least one element of the application. So we've kept the equipment requirements exactly the same. The product is slightly different to those that they're used to using, but once they've had our training, then they're fully conversant and it's just part of their normal sort of routine. So just as an overview of some of the sort of key elements that the product gives us. So it's a patented system. So you won't see equivalent systems. You say there are single pack water-based, single pack solvent-based systems. There are also epoxy systems out there and cementitious, but there is only one hybrid system on the marketplace, which is our SC902. Applications we've already discussed, it can all be applied in one coat, with our heaviest requirement being it a wet film application of 7.4 millimeters, drying back to 6.3 millimeters. So you can see it's got a lot higher volume solids than some of the conventional systems as well. The product's tolerance to site conditions, key to particularly this time of year, is also a lot more tolerant. So the product can be applied when the humidity levels are up to 95%. You still have to ensure that the surfaces that were being coated are clean, dry and free from contamination. But if the ambient air has a saturation of 95% or below, application can still continue, whereas conventional systems would guard against that. We've also successfully applied the product in very low temperatures. -5, the product will still apply correctly, cure correctly, and as an in-service use of the product onto sort of structural steel, it will actually tolerate down to -40 degrees. The flexible nature of the product also allows the flexibility that certain epoxies don't allow for and would potentially crack, whereas this flexes with any low level of movement within the structure to allow that flexible inherent nature to come through. Talked about the shower resistance, damage resistant because of its elastomeric properties. It is a 2-pack system, as you can see from the picture on the right hand side. That said, we've got a very user-friendly 60-minute pot life. That pot life is its usable period. To remove it or spray it out of the machine, you've probably got double, if not 3 times that period of time if things happen untoward on site, like say there's no electric or similar issues. So again, very user-friendly. In terms of some more specifics relating to projects and corrosion, or should we say durability, people are hopefully familiar with the sort of classification C1 through to C5 or CX now. This system can be used without a primer in C1 and C2 internal environments, which if planned at an early enough stage, or if the work's being done off-site in a fabricator's, that can save on the application and cost of a primer. At the other end of the scale, we do have suitable systems for C5 exposure. So those would be harsher environments, it might be relating to coastal environment or some level of moisture or chemical attack. Things like that, speak to our technical desk, they'll provide backup support, information, and any relevant longevity statements. So if there are requirements on life to first maintenance, we can give clear and concise information on that. As with any fire protection system these days, everything has to be tested and third-party accredited. I'll be going through a list of exactly what we have covered for these products, but it pretty much covers the whole portfolio of steels that are commonly used in UK construction. Okay, we've just got a brief application videos for those who haven't seen this type of system being spray applied. This demonstrates it coming through just a conventional Graco Mark V pump. It's this gradual build-up of coats. In this instance, we actually do a sag resistance test. So you'll see very shortly a piece of applied tape will be removed to leave a wet edge of product that's holding itself up. You can see a very thick layer of coating. That won't sag, and that's taking it all the way up to our heavier thicknesses of 6.5 millimeters. So you see very, very quickly builds up. That's all down to the applicator and the pressures of the machine and the type of tips that they choose to put it through. So depending on what finish is required, if a high decorative finish is required, finer tips will be used and the build-up will be maybe slightly slower. There is the potential to add a small measured amount of solvent to the product to ease and assist the application, let's say if a high decorative finish is required. But these are things that we would go through with our customers to train them on the exact requirements. Okay, the other thing that I've mentioned a couple of times is the shower resistance of our product. Here we have a project, it's not UK, it's Australasia, but the first video is footage shortly after the product has been applied. The white coated steel there has SC902 applied to it, and we've got demonstration of a bit of a tropical storm coming through, and the coating's being washed over with water. Any conventional single pack system at this point would be literally sort of degrading and washing off the steelwork. You can see there it's actually clear water that was that hand was having sort of flown over the top. And this is some hours later on the same day, revisiting that same area and looking at steelwork that's still intact, still has the fire protection applied without any issues which you would normally have associated with that kind of situation. So very robust and very quickly. We're talking somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour, it will achieve that level of surface resistance to attack of moisture. After 24 hours, you're looking at a fully cured system that's completely robust. So ideal for situations where we don't know maybe what the afternoon's weather is going to bring us, or days where the amount of sort of work time driven by weather is reduced. Other products may restrict use completely on that day. At least with SC900, there is some time that can be made fruitful within any sort of fine weather period. So far, I've mainly talked about our on-site product, which is spray applied by one of our recognised contractors. We also do a catalysed version, which is a faster curing version of the same product. All has the same certification and loading requirements. This is normally applied in an off-site fabricator's facility, going through much larger equipment, specialist equipment, that's stationary, and it's also supplied in larger drums, 200-litre barrels and 45-litre drums for the Part B. But again, this gives a faster cure, so it means that the steelwork can be transported or at least moved around the facility much quicker, so it then allows space to be freed up in that facility for the follow-on steelwork that's been primed and needs to be fire protected to come onto the line and be fire protected itself. Again, it's all about speed, processing, and allowing that flexibility where required. Earlier, I said that this product, or this range of products, SC900, has extensive test approval. You can see there the list of approvals that we have. The picture on the right are the product itself having been tested on loaded columns, loaded beams, top right hand side, where you can see there's some deflection on that loaded beam under sort of hydraulic presses. Essentially all standard structural steel, be it beams, columns, hollow sections, be they circular or rectangular columns. We have cell beam testing, so commonplace in UK construction at least. It's becoming more popular abroad, but it's still mainly in the UK. All these things have to be tested under their own regimes, because in a fire situation they will work, the steel will fail in different ways, so that has to be accounted for in the testing procedure. Similarly with concrete filled hollow sections, so it's sometimes used as a design feature to strengthen a structure, but it also helps in reducing the amount of fire protection that might be required on these notoriously difficult sections to fire protect. So circular columns in an entrance atrium is a good example. So something that's been designed as being a feature then might have to have multiple sort of layers of intumescent applied, and it might detract from the feature that it was aimed to be. Whereas if it's concrete filled and using the correct product, you can still achieve those aesthetics very, very easily, as long as you're using a competent applicator. Solid steel rods is a more recent area that's been tested in its own sort of different method. But again, if you have a project that has anything like that on there, these products and all of our other sort of within our range have been tested in all these different scenarios. They're also tested reaction to fire if that classification is required. All of this information in relating to product testing, etc., is available via the certifier website, where all our certificates are third-party registered. Moving on, so setting sort of 902 apart from other types of conventional systems. So we don't compare on loadings because, as I've already explained, it's the application process that is the beneficial part of this system. If you look purely at how much product is required, generally speaking, you would need more SC902 than with a conventional system. It's the benefit of being able to apply that in one coat that is the driver. And it's then to look at the overall cost of the applied system rather than just looking at how many drums of paint are required. So in terms of comparing up against a water-based system, this gives us a product it's there to solve problems. It's there where there's time constraints, where a project's running behind schedule, where certain conditions within an area due to washdown, it might be something that's relating to catering or a production facility that has to have a higher level of durability. Even though it's internal, a water-based system wouldn't be suitable. So 902 is giving us the advantage when projects behind schedule, we're overrunning, the labour costs are high, not necessarily relevant as much for the UK, albeit sort of labour is a high percentage of costs, but elsewhere in the world these can be much higher. Adverse weather conditions, the videos demonstrated clearly the properties which the product has to help with that. Temperature cycle stability, so this is maybe where you've got a facility that has huge swings in the temperature, cold storage areas where they may have cycles, hot, cold. Conventional products may not take to those differences over a short period of times, and there's a level of sort of thermal shock within the steel. This system and its flexibility will actually allow for that. And all of the above in terms of single pack products, they don't offer up those benefits. Other systems that are on the market, which people sometimes compare to SC902 with it being a two-component system, would be a methyl methacrylate. Again, people tend to steer away from these on site due to the smell, the health and safety issues. Within the CPG range, we do have several MMAs themselves, which very, very good products, excellent at what they need in terms of durability, longevity, but still they have to be applied in the correct way and using all the correct health and safety guidance. Epoxies, which I mentioned before, there is a level of sensitization sometimes with those for individuals, which needs to be taken into account. The application equipment can be quite costly and cumbersome, and often these systems will also become brittle once cured and over time. 902 we feel gives different advantages over all of these different key elements. So I've mentioned approved applicators, recognized applicators. This is something that we push heavily with this system, that it's not sold openly in the market, because we feel that the fire protection of buildings is key. It needs to be controlled, and companies that are actually investing in third-party accreditation, should be supported. Our products are tested as such, so it is a prerequisite that if you want to apply and purchase this product, you have to be third-party accredited. You need to have an active account with Nullifier or CPG. But what that will give you is the potential to enter into an arena using a product that potentially will give you as a company cost savings. It will give the main contractor and the client different options on a project. at different stages of a project potentially. So if it is something you're interested in, and we have got some applicators on this call today, then by all means register your interest via our applicator training form. You can find that on our website. Equally, in terms of training, we provide for sort of architects, engineers, CPDs on both intumescent coatings and also our fire stopping range. So you can register for those similarly via our website. Just to give a sort of a brief overview of some of the projects that our products are used on. You see, it is sort of far-reaching. It's not unique to the UK. So these are all via CPG nullifier contracts. So yeah, we've got Australia, Vietnam, South America, New Zealand, Mediterranean, and then a few closer to home in Scotland, Wales, a few more in Scotland. This is a very sort of prevalent system in Scotland, primarily due to weather conditions, but also the fact that the contractors and some of the main contractors have seen the benefit of the system in this. It's a peace of mind that the product is applied, it stays on the steel regardless of the conditions that may then ensue, even if projects are delayed and external facade systems don't go on when planned. And then finally, just a quick slide. All of our intumescent coatings are now combined with a traceability system. So in terms of nullifiers buy into the golden thread and wanted to be accountable for all of our product that is sold, we've now got this say traceability luminescent flakes within each of our coating that can be identified, and as such that product can be then traced back to nullifier as the manufacturer. So in terms of a project that some of the paperwork has gone missing on, we can visit site and ensure that it's ours. If a main contractor is unsure on what product is being used on a project, we can visit site and carry out some tests to demonstrate that. Or equally, this technology also works after a fire. So the char can be removed from site, analysed, and we can then tell that it was our product on that project, and sort of provide that reassurance that all the way through from cradle to grave, excuse the sort of terminology there, but we will be fully sort of on board in terms of our liability, our testing and support of our product. Hopefully that's given you a bit of an overview of everything that SC902 can offer. I say in terms of application and training, we can offer that. In terms of specification and assistance on projects specifically, we can provide support there as well. So we'll see if Ryan can jump back in. Have we got any questions from anybody?
Not currently, Jeff, no. So yeah, feel free to get your questions in, guys. If not, feel free to contact the email address which is displayed on the screen currently, and Jeff or another member of the team will be more than happy to help you with your queries.
Can I just say thank you very much for attending once again, and appreciate your time and supporting Nullifier and SC902. Thank you very much.